Hi, I'm Kathy Bernard, editor of So Beautiful magazine, and we'd like to thank Southern Matriarch for supporting us and hosting this blog. If you're new to Southern Matriarch and you're coming from So Beautiful magazine, welcome. And if you are a fan of Southern Matriarch and you don't know anything about So Beautiful magazine, we welcome you to come to our website at www.sobeautifulmag.com. Let me give you a little bit of preview. If you're just joining us on this tour, we are actually making this beautiful vintage inspired camisole. The instructions are in our issue 132 with the template on the centerfold, and we've already constructed part of this, some of the top part, and right now I'm going to go over lace shaping with you. So we're going to be working on this part. Now what's already been done as far as the instructions go, as the embroidery has been set in here, and now we're going to be, this hasn't been done yet, we're going to do our lace shaping, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So it's very easy, and I'm also going to show you how to do a miter when we're done. But if you'll follow me to the board, let's get a closer look. Okay, I'm working on top of my lace shaping board, and I've put a piece of paper behind it so that you can see what I'm doing, so that the red lines wouldn't create confusion, because we are using a very sheer fabric. Now, as in the instructions, we tell you to draw a line 1 inch from the top of the fabric, and if you can't see it, the top of my fabric is right here. So we've come 1 inch down and drawn a line. I'm using a blue wash away marker, and as you can see, the steam, as we've been steaming, the steam has kind of marred some of my crisp edges, but it'll still work. What we've done, and on mine, I haven't set in the machine embroidery because I'm just doing the sample for the blog tour, but if this were your piece, your machine embroidery should already be stitched in these shield spots. Then we draw our we use the template from the centerfold, and we draw out all of our lace lines. Now Shannon and I have gone in and filled in each of the supporting pieces. This piece in the magazine, in the instructions, we tell you which piece to lay in first. So this would be piece 1, piece 2. The next you would lay in this one, and next you would lay in this one, because this is layered because these pieces overlap these pieces. This piece overlaps this piece. So you have to put your laces in layers. So what we're going to do is lay in this last curve, and I will show you how to do that as soon as Shannon brings me a piece of lace. Okay, so now we're going to lay in our lace right here in this circle, and it's very important, and in the instructions we tell you to pre-shrink your lace. The lace measures 1 inch wide, but the template measures 7/8 inches wide, because when you wash this, you'll soak it and then iron it while it's wet, and the heat, the wetness and the heat will shrink the cotton netting, and it will become 7/8 inches wide. Now what I've chosen is, you need to figure out which side of the lace is the right side and the wrong side to you. Some people love the look of the lines on top, and that's beautiful, and some people love the other side where the little lines are on the bottom. Whatever you choose to do, be consistent throughout your design so that all of the lines are either facing up or facing down. In this case, I've chosen to make the little lines on the lace motif face down. So the right side is the other side. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start on one side, and in lace shaping a curve, you always, let me get this pin out of the way so I can work with it. You're always going to pin the lace along the edge, the outer curve edge. So we're going to place our pins about, 3/8 inch apart or 1/2 inch apart, every little space. You just want to make sure that while you're working on this outer curve, you don't get any straight spots, and that it's going to conform the header edge of your lace in a nice smooth curve. And on tighter circles, like small scallops, you would place your pins closer together. Now notice that I'm pinning with my pins at a slant, because I'm going to come back with the iron when this is done and steam it to conform the lace to it kind of shrinks the lace in place, kind of like if you've ever worked with a bias strip before. Steam helps conform the bias, and if you look at the netting on this lace, it acts much like a bias strip. And right now you're thinking, how is she going to get that to conform to a circle, because we've got all of this excess up here, but that's the magic of it. And once we get all the way around, I'll show you just how fun that is. Okay, I've pinned all the way around my outer curve, as you can see, and I have a lot of loose excess here. And there's something very important I need to point out. When you're creating a piece like this that's going to be underneath another piece, you just need to cut the end of it off about 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch beyond the line, so that and you'll be cutting that tail off later. But if you cut it right on the line, then you might miss stitching that. So you want to make sure you've got plenty of overlap. So we've extended the end of this lace into this area, and then this lace is going to overlap it. Okay, here's the tricky part. Now on our garment, this is actually the end line, but we're coming up a little higher. You're going to have 1 inch waist on that. That's going to be cut off later when we add our beading band. So I'm going all the way to the top of the fabric with that, just to be safe. Now, here's the tricky part. We've got to pull the header thread up on the end, and it's hard for you to see what I'm doing, but in the lace there's this tiny little thread that runs along inside the header, and if you just take your pen and you pick at it, I got it. Okay, here's my little thread. I'm starting to pull it. It takes a little time to get that thread going, but once you do, you'll just gather, almost just as if you had a gathering thread. And once it gets started, as you see, I'm not even pulling it anymore. I'm just pulling this thread taut, and it gathers it up itself, and it conforms to that circle. So as you can see, half of my circle is now laying flat, and the other half is bubbled up. Now I'm going to have to go to this side and struggle with trying to find this header thread. Watch this pop right out for me. Pop this header thread out and pull it the same way down to the other side. Let me see if I can get that started. Sometimes if you just fray up the end, one of those header threads, sometimes there's several header threads, and if you can grab one of them, it's easy going. Alright, I got it. Okay, so then I'm going to pull that, and I'm just pulling it and bringing that up. Now you can use your skewer. Another great use for the skewer is, you see I've got this pull going here. I want to even that out and distribute my gathers so that I don't get any angles or I don't want any place on here to have too much gathering. I'm going to distribute that out just a little with the little tip of my stick, and as you can see, I'm overlapping right here. I'm going right over the top of that lace. So, and you're thinking, well, that looks a little puffy to me. We're going to go now and pin the other side. I'm not going to pin it as much. I'm just going to pin it in places to help hold it. Okay, I've got it all pinned down, and the next thing you want to do is get a nice steamy iron, and you want to just steam that so that, I'm just simply going straight on top. I'm going to kill the steam now so I can go straight on top with dry. And I'm not doing this. You don't want to do that. You just want to go pat right on top of it. And it spreads your pins out. That's why we tell you to use glass head pins. Now I'm going to let that cool off a little bit, and I'm going to remove some of these pins so that I can pin this flat. Because we've got to remove it from our lace shaping board in order to get it under the machine. And it doesn't matter what direction really that you pin it in, as long as you pin it flat to the fabric. You want to make sure you're not pinning it to your pinning board, and then you're not pinning it to the paper. So let me get this done and we'll go to the next step.